And it looks like we're live. Welcome back, everyone. Hello out there. We have a new episode of Bitcoin Generations for you today. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for supporting the show. Give a like or subscribe if you want. Not going to beg for that. But anyway, so it's Bodie here at Bitcoin Generations, and we're running the show solo today. So I'm a little bit nervous, but no. Actually, I'm gonna start off. I have a question. Is this shirt that I'm wearing, is it blue or green? I could swear it's green because 'cause I'm wearing it right here and I'm looking at it. It looks like green or kinda aqua to me, but I'm looking at it through this little camera thing here, and it's looking like light blue. So, anyway, uh, just just a quick question there. But, um have a few interesting kind of takes on some of the events of this past week. A lot has been happening, and a lot of online content has been centered around a lot of the political moves and things. And I'm just gonna kind of take this back to sort of like a humble beginnings, sort of like you know get outside, see the sun, and kind of like grounded perspective, if you will. So, you know, um, let me just also quickly shout out to Jor at the 88 Sats radio channel. Uh, Apparently, his mom is not feeling well, so he's anyway. Uh, he probably doesn't want me to make that all public, but you know, we're the community that kind of like hangs with him a lot on his show. Yeah, we hope she feels better. So anyway, uh, so I'm noticing some folks in the chat here. We've got Letha, welcome, welcome, Jason, uh, and so I'm seeing robin egg blue. I'm seeing aqua blue. Okay, yeah, I can go with that. It's just my T-shirt my daughter gave me, and I'm kind of like I'm not really a green kind of person, but I don't know that I'm a light blue person either. So anyway, I think it's kind of cool with the red background on the thing here. Um, so we're gonna just kind of move on into some of the stuff that I really kind of wanted to. Some of the things that are going on for me right now, kind of, and where I'm at in this rabbit hole with regard to learning and continuing to go into like sub parts of the rabbit hole that is Bitcoin, and and it's something I wrote something about a little earlier today, and that is when we get a little bit of knowledge, we kind of we're like, oh, and it's kind of like it's a plateau, and we get there, and it's like, whoa, this is like amazing. And then, boom, 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 things start firing. And then you want to like go here or go there. At least this is how my brain works. You get to this plateau of learning, of knowledge. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, like there's this whole new worldview kind of like perspective that I'm looking and seeing about possibilities, experiences that I've had before. Have I seen this movie before? Is this friend or foe? Kind of like situational awareness, those kinds of things. Um, and like where I'm at right here with this right now is I just wanted to share this because I'm going somewhere with this. Okay, I'm gonna bring this back to of some practical application of like what do we need to be doing here, and how do we kind of want to approach it? I think is as boomers, as new Bitcoiners, as wherever you are, at whatever age you are, I think it's wise to sometimes just pause in the middle of a storm and go, this is really interesting time we have here. Like like how do we want to approach this from right here? Because if you're anything like me, you've kind of like, you've like maybe gone too quickly into something, or you've like, waited too long to get into something, uh, or yeah, in my case, it's usually, spring too quickly. And that over time and in the decades that I've done that, I can share with my younger friends here that uh, the wisdom is to kind of like just pause for half a second and then spring, like think carefully before you move. And this is just like my experience. It may not be your experience. Maybe you're just wired like that already and you always pause before you move anything. And kudos to you if you do that. But Bitcoin, it can be pretty exciting once you get into the rabbit hole and you are like, there are so many different parts that I'm learning in, right? Or that you're learning in. You're learning in all different kind of parts. I mean, I was excited about it before I ever learned about mining. And I'm just like this far into learning about mining, right? I don't know that much about it yet. And I know even probably smaller amount uh, about Bitcoin, but it is very humbling. And I think that saying, "Stay humble," you know, there's a whole lot of wisdom in the stay humble part of that. We know the rest of it. That's it's kind of the easy part. Sometimes, practically speaking, it's not easy to stack sats, but and then like, what do you do after you've stacked? How do you get that into all that part? And but the kind of like the pause before you pounce kind of moment, that feels like a kind of a moment that we're in right now. I mean, a moment, a season, a period of time right now where we are, like let's kind of just pause and just sort of like backtrack. I don't know, a short period of time, like a few months back, where we had an election and it was like, whoa, like this is going to be different now. And it could be it could be something where, it was a great experience, you loved the outcome of the election, or it was like, "Oh, no, my next 4 years of my life is gonna be murder." Whatever or maybe you're apolitical and you didn't vote or anything. Whatever it was kinda like, "Okay, there's gonna be a shift, something's gonna change here. We've noticed kinda some momentum and something's changing." And then we got an inauguration, we got a new president, we've got some things happening pretty darn fast, folks. And when stuff starts coming fast, it's like, like, wow, okay. World moves fast as it is, but then we've got a president that moves very quickly. So those are just some of the things that kind of like, like just um so I don't want to belabor this point, but what I'm trying to say is that I'm really I'm really pinching myself right now. Like this is a real kind of like like I feel like we're on a roller coaster a little bit, and like we're kind of getting near the top of one of and I don't mean in this cycle. I don't mean the bull cycle or the bear cycle or anything like that. I'm just talking about just sort of like, because I don't have enough knowledge to know all that the technical side of those metrics. I listen to people who are much smarter than me too, probably like some of you, but the part that is kind of the intangible part for a guy like me who's a baby boomer, who's sort of like seen like the beginning of the internet and then how that grew in terms of adoption, that's what I'm kind of comparing this to. I'm kind of comparing like, I haven't seen the Bitcoin movie before, but I've seen the new technology movie before where we have never seen a technology like the internet before. Okay. So some could argue, well, this is just an extension of the internet and it just continues. Well, maybe that's an argument for another day. But the point is that we are moving into a period of adoption of a certain part of this you know, internet money, if you will, that none of us, I don't think none of us are prepared for really because it's never happened before. And so because of that, it's like, hmm, like common sense tells me like, uh, let's just like stand here on the top of this ridge for a few hours and just like look and see what we can see from here. And then let's walk our way down into the valley, kind of like let's just take all this in first. Maybe take even a few pictures. Um, but I there's something else I want to get to in just a second. And it's a segue into I'm going to talk about this new book that I'm reading from Lawrence Lepard, and I'm actually very very impressed with him. And as you guys know, the most of the listeners here, I get paid nothing to do this. I really don't want anything from YouTube, uh, and I don't have any sponsors. I don't. Definitely don't get any perks or anything like that for, saying anything about something that works for me or anything. And in that way, I'm kind of like Joran in that regard. But I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. Just wanted to just kind of just reach out here and see if we've got we've got clean your machine. Hello. Well, you know what? So I'll just make an announcement here. So Jor is not going to be on the show today because he's taking care of some family business, and so you're going to get just me today. I don't think we are streaming from 88 Sats Radio. Pretty sure we're not, but we're coming to you live from Bitcoin Generations, and he's so good at kind of describing his whole format and stuff. Let me just kind of take a moment and just describe kind of like the reason why we do Bitcoin Generations and why I do it, and why I started it is because I really feel strongly about preserving wealth and teaching our kids and our grandkids and the people that are coming behind us, about things that we know and documenting that in ways that works for them, right? And this channel is a way to do that. And if you have some passion and you have some interest in doing something like that, I would just absolutely encourage you to put something together, whether it's a podcast or whether it's in person, some sort of writing, if that's your skills. I just love some of the people that I've met, and I really haven't met people in person, but there's a lot of wealth of knowledge in the Living in the Future community, and the people that I know are somewhat regular listeners to my show, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for you all. I just encourage you to kind of consider that as we decentralize media and we listen to people who have common sense and who have experience in things that we're interested in. Um, you know, this is it. This is the way. This is the way forward. Is the decentralizing of all this knowledge, of all this technology, the open source. I mean, it's just like, like full disclosure, very transparent. I don't know how it gets better than that. And so I might have a little bit of a chance to give you a little bit more of my background today. Uh, but before I go down that road, I just going to try to keep an eye on the chat, and then if you guys have something you want to ask or question, anything about me or my background, feel free. I will try to filter that carefully enough for YouTube so that I'm not doxing anything or anyone. But so let me just move right into this, just real quick. This this book that I'm reading, The Big Print, by Lawrence Lepard. Um, you know, I just got it the other day. I actually bought 2 copies because I knew there's a guy that I've talked to and I've had breakfast with many times already now, and we have talked about Bitcoin, probably 2 or 3 times, and, he is very into investments and gold and real estate, and we've had some discussions, and I bought one of these books for him because I knew this was gonna be a good read. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this book right now is in case you haven't got it, I didn't know why why Lawrence Lepard would be on a stage with Michael Saylor and uh, Lynn Alden. And I'm looking at them like with last year when they were in Madeira, and I was like, wow, what I wonder what his backstory is. So so he's been an investment guy for a long time, right? Kind of a traditional investment guy, I guess, but he's apparently very much an advocate, well-known public advocate for returning to a system of sound money. So so right there, I was like, okay, I like this guy. And then I looked in the very back of the book when I got it, and there's a picture of him and Ron Paul in the back of the book. And I'm like, okay, so Ron Paul's got some credibility. Um, he's been an advocate for auditing the Fed since, I don't know, way back when, probably when I was still a kid. Um, but the story in here in the opening scene and in the introduction of his book, the opening scene is, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody, okay? So forgive me for giving this away, but there's a situ if you already know this story, then you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't know this story in the opening scene, I'm just going to tell you that um, so he stood up at a meeting, and this particular kind of meeting was like, uh now I've really ruined it. I've ruined the whole thing. I've ruined the story. I've ruined my story and everything. So now I almost have to tell you exactly what it is I'm gonna say. Um, he goes in talking about this meeting in 2018 that he was at, and these guys are talking about what happened in 2008. Well, I have my own personal story about what happened in 2008 to me, but and it was I had some things that were affecting me pretty seriously, but he goes into this about this meeting, and he's talking about how these guys are talking about what happened in 2008, and they said that they knew what they had done was wrong, but they were looking for redemption. These were guys that were in charge of that we had the bailout in 2008. So so basically, I don't want to give it away like word for word, but basically they were saying like, anybody in here in disagreement with what we did back there in 2008? And he says there's like 300 people in this room, and like everyone's looking around, and he raises his hand and he says, yeah, I have a problem with it. And then he stands up and he gives this like explanation for like why it was wrong what they did in 2008. And my mouth dropped when I read that. I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is a guy who's like leading the way. He's like carrying the flag like, hey, no, that's wrong." Uh how can you not love a guy like that? Okay, so here it is in the introduction of the book, and that's the opening scene. He paints this picture of like how he's planted his flag, and he's gonna like stand with it. Um, and so that's really just very shortly what I wanted to share with you about that book. And so a guy like that is a guy we need to listen to, and that's why a guy like that is on the stage with Michael Saylor and Lynn Alden and these people that are like teaching us about Bitcoin. I think Jeff Booth was on the same stage with those guys. So so with that, I would just say that that is a book that I'm going to just read with great anticipation. Um, and I'm looking forward to talking with some guys that I know about that book too. And so if you're watching this after the live show or whenever, and you are you're just you know you've got questions, you've got skepticism, like what's this Bitcoin and why is this why is the president making this big deal about it? Like come on, like read this book. Read this book, and I don't care if you check it out from the library or you buy it, however you get it in your hands, definitely read the book. So yeah, so there's that. Um, so let's kind of move on to some things that have been happening though. Um, I mean, it's just incredibly interesting the moment that we're in right now. This period of time. This season I mentioned earlier. Um, we've come through sort of like the honeymoon of Trump's inauguration, and the presidency is sort of like starting to wear off. And with some people, I'm sure it's wearing very thin. But we're starting to see some things move pretty quickly. Some people are starting to be let go from the government. There's oversight. There's some things. A lot of opinions about how much and if it's good or not good. But uh, we're starting to see some things. But one thing we did see last week is we saw the different things happening in at the White House, with the executive order that started the at least started the beginning of the conversation about the Bitcoin strategic Bitcoin reserve, and the stockpile, the crypto stockpile. And those things were good. Those things were good to see happen, but they are also just sort of like, kind of like a move, sort of like, we're making this move, and it's kind of it's just a move. It's sort of like a gesture, but it's not an actual law. It's not actually happening. Nothing's actually transpired that we know of that's public yet. Um, and if there's any new news on that, feel free to pipe it up in the chat here. But what I kind of wanted to say was that the we're not. Um, this is all sort of like part of the show almost. Like, okay, so they kind of have to move the ball like 1 yard, and then they have to move the ball the next yard. Oh, they went back a yard, and then they have to move it up, and it's so interesting just to sit there and watch them do stuff like this and negotiate that. And there's so many different kinds of things happening all around in the political landscape. But now Bitcoin is in the mix of all this political stuff. And so, uh, you know, uh, let me just take a pause here. We got, so Buck 52,000, welcome. You're mopping the floors. That's great. Um, and then he or she says, I woke up one day in 2008 and half my 401k was gone. Yeah. I mean, baby boomers remember this. This was like, yeah, devastating, financially to many of us. Uh, I probably should take this time and just sort of go into a little bit of the rabbit hole of like what happened to us when we were we were in Vegas. Uh, Actually not in Vegas, but close to Vegas. Um, so yeah, okay. So in 2000, let's see, we bought our house in I think 2000. Uh, yeah, 2003. So fall of 2003. And so we were going on along, and we had uh quite a bit invested in it. And so, basically the house was worth, like this. Okay. Then in 2005 and 2006, um, things were kind of like ramping up. I mean, it's Vegas. It's the Vegas housing market. I mean, things go up really quick, and we found out they come down really quick too. So they were going up. They were inching up, inching up, inching up, inching up, and there we were in like 2006, 2007. It was still it was still it was still going, I would say, pretty good until sometime in 2007. Um, the housing market was was the bubble, right? It was overinflated. And so they end up having this problem with the savings and loan. And I'm not going to go down that road, but I am going to just share a little bit of my experience about what happened. So I had the perfect storm actually happen because I was a fireman. And then, you know, uh, and my wife stayed at home with our kids, right? She wasn't working. And so we were on a single income and we were, you know, I think that by that time we had 3 kids. Yeah. Well, no, we had 4 kids because we ended up having, um right. Okay, I won't go into all that story, but we had 4 kids, and, so so, uh, 2008 comes along, and things are starting to already be like, "Wow, this is really, this, this economy is really rough right now. Oh, man, it's like, are we in a recession? Yeah, we're in a recession. Boy, it's really rough, like, oh, okay." Well, it was like, well, nobody really understood that, even though there wasn't a bailout, that we were kind of getting shafted, as a country by, this whole bailout thing that was happening for the banks. They were being made whole, but we weren't. We were suffering the effects of an economy and the housing prices in my town were falling like probably, yeah, like, probably, like, 50%, 50%. So, we had our house that was probably, I don't know, 6 and a half or 650,000, and, by the time we end up getting a short sale in 2009, we were approved for a short sale. Uh, we had, um, it was it was like maybe, 299 is what it was. So, it was more than 50%. So what's the moral of the story? What I'm trying to share with you is that, the devastation, the financial devastation that a lot of us went through was just, I mean, it alters your life. It really does. And so what happens when you do that? The reason why I share this story, this old guy with the beard and white beard and stuff is sharing a story like that is because for young people who haven't been through something like that, it's like, yeah, these things happen, and it goes, and it sort of happens just like things are going along just fine, just like they are right now, until they're not, and then, man, you got to pay a lot more for a lot less. You got to pay a lot more. You have to pay for your, you have to pay this much mortgage for a house that went like this. Okay, now it's like worth this. You see? So that's the kind of the market dynamics of like that housing bubble in 2008. And first of all, I mean, and that was not the only property we had invested in. Okay, we had our primary house, but we also had another investment. Uh, it was like raw land. And actually, I had two. One of them was a buildable lot, but I had another one that was in Utah, southern Utah, that was growing. And we had invested in that one. It was 3 to 5 years in the path of progress. So it was like it was known that this progress is kind of moving this direction, and we were out in front of it and expecting that that's going to happen. And I mean, you got to understand, it's sort of like, you're out in the West and things are really, they're moving, things are happening, things are going, and it's just this train doesn't stop. I mean, if you look at the growth of Las Vegas, for example, since 19 whatever, you name the date, and it's been growing since that date, okay? When I got to the town that I was in, it was 75 square miles, and it was a population of 85,000. When I left in 2009, it was population of almost 300,000, and it was, I think, 90 square miles. So so Las Vegas is has a lot of federal land around it, and so they work these deals, the land deals, and, Harry Reid was working land deals, and he was trading, and there's all this stuff going on, and all this federal land that's owned by the feds is getting traded in the back room over here, and you don't really know about that. Nobody really knows about it, right? But it's happening, and then, oh, all of a sudden, "Hey, there's some new land that is gonna be annexed, and it's some of it's oh, look at this, there's private land here, and now it's gonna be developed." Yeah, and no, not really any water for it per se, but I am getting way off topic here, and, please forgive me, but that's some of the background about, like, where what I came through in the 2008 timeframe, and then that's just the financial, the housing bubble part of it. At my job, I got injured at work, and I was actually end up having to be retired because of it, and I was a firefighter, and it was not my choice to leave my job. I had to leave with 18 plus years in. So, that was difficult under good circumstances, and it was really difficult under the 2008 housing crisis circumstances. So, uh, yeah, you know what? Okay, we're gonna go in here. Look at this. We've got Clean Your Machine says, "Hey, I am Clean Your Machine's grandson, and I'm 14, but I want to get more into crypto. What's some good things I should keep in mind about it?" Oh, well, I've got about 2 hours of lecture for you. No, I'm just kidding. I would say if you're 14, I mean, like, the world is your oyster, right? I mean, like, this is amazing, okay? But if you're 14 and you're Clean Your Machine's grandson, I would say, first of all, listen to your grandpa or grandma and, like, learn how to do this. Learn how to make things, learn how to fix things. I love the title of Clean Your Machine. Like, that is a great thing to do no matter what kind of machine you have, right? Change your oil on your car. You know how to change your oil on your car? You know how to change your tires? You know how to, like, dig a hole, dig a trench, like, work with your hands, get some calluses, use some gloves, get some good boots. Yeah. Yeah, that's what you wanna be doing, okay? So, you get that stuff down first, you're good. And I'm thinking you probably already have some of that down if you're Clean Your Machine's grandson. But if you wanna get more into crypto, okay, that's different than getting into Bitcoin. Let me just simplify it for you like this. Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency, and in my mind, it's really the only one. Now we know through all the marketing and all the FUD and all the everything in the world about all the crypto. I mean, you can't get on your smartphone without seeing an ad for, like, the music and all the yeah, all that with the different exchanges and stuff. Don't get distracted by that. There's a few exchanges to buy Bitcoin on. Okay, keep it simple. Keep it simple. And we've talked about that before. I think one of the ones that we use here in the U.S., one of the ones that I've learned is really good. I have an account there is River, and I'm going to show you something a little bit about the S curve adoption, uh, the learning process. I'm sorry, learning tools that they have on their website. River is a good one to get started with. Strike is a good one to get started with, and Bitcoin Well is really a good one to get started with. And have an account at 3 of those is really a good idea because you never know which one you might wanna do business with at a certain period of time, okay? One of them may be working, one of them may not be working. You may be in a situation where one makes sense, but the other one doesn't really make sense, okay? So it just but it's nice to have 3 different ones. But the point I wanted to make about getting into crypto at a young age is this: it's easy to get distracted by all the stuff on your phone. Very easy to get distracted. Very difficult to stay disciplined and stay focused. You know the thing, if you're 14 and you see these guys with the laser eyes, you know why they have laser eyes, right? So a lot of people have laser eyes on their pictures, even I have one. I put laser eyes on there because I'm not distracted by the other stuff. I am absolutely laser focused on what is Bitcoin doing? Why is it doing it? What has happened in the past with Bitcoin? What are the factors inside of Bitcoin that I should know about? What are the things that could go wrong? What are the things that could go right? How could it affect me? How can it affect other people? I mean, I had no idea that people in Africa couldn't access certain kinds of currencies. They don't have bank accounts, right? Until I learned this from a guy named Alex Gladstein. Yeah, these people, they look at Bitcoin differently because it's a way that they can do business without a bank account. Great. So do you care about that at age 14 and you're getting into crypto? No, you don't care about that. But there's all kinds of things you can learn about Bitcoin. Don't get distracted by all the other things and all the other things that all these other coins can do, all these tokens, all these NFTs, all these DeFi. Just tune it out. Do yourself a favor. You're going to be so glad. And here's the reason why I say that. Well, not the reason, but another reason why I say that, particularly for someone who's 14, is because the president of the United States, and for the first time in the United States history, wrote signed an order for a strategic Bitcoin reserve. They've had they'd have a strategic oil reserve before. They've had other kinds of things that they count on, that they keep in kinda kinda in storage just in case something happens and they need to draw on that, okay? So that's a great reason to have a reserve. That's what they've done in times of crisis, and then actually during Biden's administration, they also draw down the strategic oil reserve. That's another conversation. But this is the first time we've ever had a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is the first time Bitcoin has ever been. I mean, it's young. Bitcoin is only 2 years older than you at 14. So stay focused on Bitcoin. That's all you need to do. But you need to be in the market with Bitcoin in your pocket or in storage. You need to have it where you have the keys to it. Okay. So that's your assignment. Clean your machine. That's your grandson's homework. And I want to hear an update and a check back on how he's doing or how she's doing with learning how to use crypto. And yeah, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. Jason, thank you. Bitcoin, not crypto, right? Okay. Yeah, let's make that distinction. When we say, let's just take it back to, very, very basics again here. Okay. So when we talk about terminology, people say crypto and they mean like, that's what they mean, like some sort of like digital something kind of like money. It could be this, or it could be that, but it's sort of like this whole ballpark thing right here. No, no, when you talk to Bitcoiners will be very specific. They know, like, it's not crypto. Yes, it is a cryptocurrency and it's encrypted, but it's not crypto because the crypto name means all of this snowstorm of all this other stuff that you don't want to pay attention to all that. It's going to distract you. It's going to get you off. It's going to get you not focused on what you need to be focused on. And believe me, BlackRock, Michael Saylor, Strategy, Van Eck, Fidelity, all the ETFs, all the nation states, everyone, Russia, China, Australia, England, well, maybe not England, but the United States, Canada, well, maybe not Canada. They are focused on where are we going with this? And it's not an arms race anymore. It's an economic race for digital capital, digital money, internet money. There's a whole lot of AI things being built, and I'm actually not far from some of the hugest warehouse kind of situations I've seen, and they're building them very close to me. So I would just say that just as a 14-year-old, as a 20-year-old, whatever age you are, stay focused, right? It's not hard. And stay in. The biggest mistake you can make is not owning any. And I think we're seeing that. Play it over and over and over. If you're not in the market, if you don't have any position in Bitcoin, that's not a place you want to be. Just talk to Clean Your Machine, ask him all those questions, and you can come back here, come back to 88 Sats Radio, where you can see Jor on a regular basis, or depending on your language preferences, but yeah, we love Jor. We want to encourage him to just continue to do amazing work that he's doing and providing the value that he does. He's got a little helicopter blade on top of his hat, and I just love it. I mean, he's very, very, very smart on these things and does a ton of research and brings a ton of value every day that he's broadcasting. So, just a shout out to him. Let's see here. So, interesting fact on Las Vegas, Howard Hughes was backed by the mob by purchasing the land to get established. Now, that's absolutely true. I was there. Howard Hughes was a very interesting cat. He was way ahead of his time. He's kind of one of those guys that I put in the same sort of category as Nikola Tesla. But yeah, just amazing. And let's see here. We're going to keep moving down here just a little bit. He goes, okay, so the 14-year-old grandson, he says, well, to be exact, I wanted to get into Bitcoin. I just used crypto as a net game. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, we got it. I'm sure he's already corrected you on that, or your grandparent. Clean Your Machine. Yeah. All right. So good. Yeah. Good. I love it. Love the chat here. Love the conversation here. Clean Your Machine says, thank you. I'm watching over him closely. I know you are. That's so good. There's nothing like really good, like parental and grandparent, like wisdom. I mean, you just cannot, parents have to be present. We need to, when our kids are learning to read, what do we need to do? We need to read to them. Read them stories. They get excited. They want to dive in and learn how to read once you're painting these pictures, these mental pictures in their mind about stuff you're reading. Oh, it's fabulous. It's fabulous. I think it's one of the best things you can do, aside from having as many kids as you can possibly have. That's just me. I think kids are a blessing. I think they're amazing. And I want to encourage more people to have kids. And, it's reading to them. It's like actively just like reading to them. I mean, they'll get to the point where they're like, wow, that was cool. Especially if you can read like with a lot of emphasis on things. And when you get into you're reading about the little mouse that was like hanging out with the rabbit or something like that. And then the little mouse said, oh, I'm going to have to run over here and get some cheese. You get really kind of animated. It's so fun. It's so fun to do that with kids. Yeah. I just, I love doing that. And here I am, I'm an old guy now. And the little kids, that come around, they're looking at me like, what's the old dude doing there? He's acting kind of weird. But Yeah, that's just kinda how it goes with that. Love kids, love families, that's what America was, I mean, not just America, but the world, the foundation of the world was the family, right? And it started with, you know, Adam and Eve, and then here we go, right? And it started with family. So there you go. And it's right here, from Bitcoin Generations, you heard it here first. Not. Um, so, like, where are we gonna go now? Okay, anybody have any questions about my background in terms of, like, that part? Uh, so so I shared with you guys that I was a fireman in Vegas area for a while, quite a while. And actually before that though, and I'm kind of rewinding back just kinda like I wanna cover some of my background just so you kinda, like, paint a little more of a picture. I started out in, I'm originally, not from California, but I started out working in California, and, I started out in wildland firefighting out in Northern California, and I worked on hand crews, and I worked on helicopters and engine crews, and I did that, in Northern California for, like, 5 years, and then I came down to Southern Nevada, and I worked on the federal lands down in Southern Nevada outside of Las Vegas, worked down there for, like, 3 years. So and then I was like, "Oh, these guys who work in the city fire departments, they've got this made." And so that's how I ended up in the city fire department down there. Um, and so, yeah, that was, quite an experience, quite a career, and I would say that, Nevada was very good to me. I met my wife there. We started having our kids there. When I met her, she already had a son, so we were blended family, and that was really, like, okay, I'm gonna make a man out of him, right? He's like 7 years old, and yeah, well, sometimes things go the way you plan, and sometimes they don't go the way you plan. So, always lessons learned, and it was, yeah, it was really good to be a stepdad. You know, I had stepdads too when I was growing up, but um, anyway, so all that to say, my fireman experience was really good, uh, but with my injury, I had to leave the desert and the heat, and so we ended up moving down to Virginia, and we farmed in rural Virginia, um, down in the southwest part of Virginia. And, yeah, it was just amazing, gorgeous, hardwood trees, love the forest. I can't get enough of the forest. Love the mountains. And, yeah, so, like, hey, you know what? I see this question here. So sweating and smiling together is here. Hey, welcome, welcome. And the question is, you ever see any Bigfoot in Northern California? No. And I say no because, I never did, right? Anytime there was anything like that, I wasn't around for any of that. But I will tell you a story. If you wanna hear a story about Bigfoot, I will tell you a story about Bigfoot. So so and I mean, how much off topic are we getting here? I mean, this is not about Bitcoin right now, but we'll get back to it, okay? So, but I'm gonna tell you this quick little story about Bigfoot, and, it's not about me, though. It's about my wife. So, my wife was not in Northern California. It was in Oregon, and, the thing about it was that she was out in near their house. They lived out in the country, and her dad was near her, and she was on her horse, and she was going along this field, and all of a sudden she saw this shape, this thing moving, was walking. Yeah, and, she doesn't talk about it too much, but her dad was behind her about 100 feet, and he saw it too, and, uh, and it freaked him out, and it freaked her out, but the worst part is that it freaked her horse out, and her horse ran off, um, and actually, she fell off the horse, and so that's a whole story. That's the short version of it, but she's like, she says to this day, she goes, "I don't know what it was, but he was telling me," he said, "I thought it was Bigfoot. That's what it seemed like to me." And he's no longer with us. He's passed, uh, but I was like, "Hey, that's a pretty good story." And this guy was pretty amazing, dude. He was English. He was from England. He grew up on in well, yeah, no, I'm not going to tell you all about his life story and stuff. But I will tell you that that he was from the British Merchant Marine, and he was in World War II. He came out of the uh, the Cadet Academy. He was in the Cadet Academy from age 12 to age 16. And check this out. The first thing they had him do, they had them crochet their hammock that they slept in. They crocheted with their hands the hammock that they slept in on the boat that was moored in the Hamble River right offshore. So he went to the Cadet Academy in England, and from age 12 to 16. That's one of the first things they had him do. And when he graduated from the Cadet Academy, he went into and he got hired by a company at age 16 years old to go work on a ship. That's what he always wanted to do. And so the stories that he told us about, I mean, he's like 17, 18 years old when the World War II is just getting started for England. It's absolutely amazing to be a part of his family, and that's my father-in-law, who's no longer with us. Rest in peace, Mike Brown. Amazing story. He's actually related to uh the guy who was the coach for who's ever seen the movie uh oh, it's the Running movie. It's I can't remember it. So yeah, anyway, I am I'm sorry. Without Jor here, man, I am just absolute mess here trying to stay on topic. So we have a question here. Do you have Buck 52,000 says, do you have a specific method to buy Bitcoin, a time, day, a dip, or buying at the top? Yeah. So I think you have enough. I think you have enough experience, Buck 52,000. You probably know that, hey, every day is a good day to buy Bitcoin. Every day. And if you happen to see it going down, well, you can buy it on the way down, you could buy it on the way up. But what I do is I have a certain amount, like I'd like to buy like this much, but I have a certain amount that I like to buy every day, you know, meh, whatever size it is. Okay. And for you, I think it makes sense to figure out like how much can you buy every day, and then you dollar cost average, right? And I think that makes a lot of sense because you're buying, you can look at, in depending on which one you're doing too. I actually started buying also with Fold. I can actually dollar cost average right out of there, and it shows me how many sats did I get for that amount of money that I'm dollar cost averaging every day. So yeah, it's a good way. I think dollar cost averaging is very good, and I think it's definitely a way to go. But smash buy, trickle buy, dollar cost averaging buy. Every day is a good buy. Every day is a good day to buy Bitcoin, because this is the thing, kind of like where I was talking about at the very very beginning of the show, and that is, like, okay, the scenario is we're standing on a ridge. We're standing on top of a hill or a ridge somewhere. We're looking at a very, very amazing view. And you can see for miles and miles, tens of miles away. And when you have an opportunity to stop and look, you don't have to keep walking, you don't have to keep going. You can actually look up, pause for a little while, and look up and look around and see what you can see. It gives you some good perspective. And so, whether you're, you know, s- clean your machines, 14-year-old grandson, or you're, in your 60s or your 80s, it's really good to take that perspective and see, like, what are we really looking at? And I could kind of circle that back to, like when I was a fireman, I was trained as an EMT and a paramedic. And one of the skills that you learn, and if you see doctors or nurse practitioners that do this, or paramedics, you can notice that one of the things, if they're really good at what they do, one of the things one of the best skills that you can learn as a medical professional is assessment, assessing what you're looking at. So if you know the game you're in, which is in for them, it's a medical scenario. Whatever it is that you're looking at, it has certain signs, it has certain symptoms, it has a certain look. And so what you wanna do is you wanna try to find people who are really good at assessing things. And when you find somebody who's really good at assessing things because they've seen a lot of things, and they're trained really well, they've practiced their craft quite a bit, right? They know what they're looking at. And then they get some information in. They, take vitals, you take, blood sugar off your finger. Okay, that's a data point. Take blood pressure, look at the pupils. What's the skin signs look like? What's the respiratory rate? What's the pulse rate? What are they looking like on the monitor? All this stuff starts flowing in. All these data points starts flowing in, and it's like, okay, I had an initial assessment of this person when I first walked in, and my experience is walking in people's houses where people are sick or something's wrong. And then you look at that person and you can immediately tell usually if they're sick or not. They're either obviously sick or they're not sick. And then you get all this information that comes in, and then you're like, okay, now you're using this. Now you're using your assessment skills. And when you do that, if you're good and you know what you're looking at, you can spot it pretty quickly. You can see it pretty quickly. And that's why sometimes, first responders are kind of pretty savvy at kind of reading people in some cases, but they're also really savvy at kind of like assessing a situation pretty quickly. Is it a life-threatening situation? Is this So let's transfer all that assessment knowledge and assessment skill level to looking at, kind of like at Bitcoin. Because remember, no one's ever seen this before. No one's ever, it hasn't been here that long. 16 years is not that long. But the closest people that we have who know all about it are people who've been in finance. Okay. Guys like Lawrence Lepard, um, guys like, uh, well, other people that, like Michael Saylor, other people that have been in finance for a long time. Guys like Marty Bent or, Jack Mallers. I mean, older guys too. But you're seeing a lot of different data points, probably more than we've ever seen with any kind of asset or uh, anything in the finance world. And so when you kind of like you apply those data points and you bring it into your assessment of knowledge of stuff that you're looking at and that your experience of looking at things, it's I mean, there's a certain amount of it. I think that people who have experience in other areas doing assessment, things like that too, uh, they can look at things and do an assessment as well. Now, I'm not a great at assessing, what the situation is in Bitcoin. I am learning. I'm totally early in the learning curve. So I'm not the guy to be, making predictions for sure. But a guy like Jor has skills that I don't have. Uh, you know, there's the guys that he's networked in with Maple Bitcoin. yeah, those guys are, they're looking at stuff. They've taught themselves, they've learned, they've had experience in business. You know, fascinating. I love learning from these guys. Um, it's amazing how people in Bitcoin have sort of networked together and they kind of have each other on shows and we get to learn from them. Guys like Matthew Kratter. I mean, it's just the analysis is just it's priceless. So anyway, I'm going to keep this fairly short. We are right at an hour, and I wanted to touch on a few things here, just kind of to wrap up. Um, you know, uh, the title of this show is "Momentum Builds in Bitcoin," um, and so we've seen those things happen in the last week. Um, big announcements, a lot of stuff. Probably not really on the radar screen of most Americans yet. But I think it's having ripple effects throughout the world. I think there's a lot of other countries, a lot of other people that are paying attention internationally are looking at what the kind of the signals that the administration is telegraphing, and I think that's important to kind of keep in context. That that momentum is building, and if you're like, you know Cleaner Machines grandson or somebody's granddaughter, uh, you know, get yourself an account at one of these exchanges, and then start working towards getting this off of the exchange. And once you get it, that's the most important thing. Make sure you have it in your account, and then you can start working towards getting it off of there and getting it into working towards a cold storage scenario. And that's not something it's gonna happen overnight. You're gonna have to take your time, get there eventually, and and that's something that people here can help you with. Um, reach out to us. If you want to like and subscribe, that'd be great. But we're interested in helping people like figure out like the basics of like what's going on. I keep trying to like remember a few things that I was going to talk about today. When I was talking about uh, when I was talking about here's Jor. He's got a comment here. 88 That's Radio says, "Hey, don't sell yourself short, Bodie. We all have more knowledge, value, and leverage than we realize right now." Oh, amen. I love it. I love it. We really do. We have a lot of knowledge. Um, we have a lot of momentum. We have some leverage. I think we also this group probably also has, or hopefully has, enough humility to admit, like, hey, I don't know the answer to that. And that's really actually the best thing to say is I don't know the answer to that. And that's what we want to be doing, because new people coming into Bitcoin, there's a lot of okay, listen to this. This is a guy that used to live in Vegas, who used to live in Vegas. Okay. So there's neon and skin, and you can imagine all of that. Okay. Been there, done that, got the t shirt and the sweatshirt and the sweatpants. Been there, done that. In Bitcoin, there is so much glamour and fireworks and advertising and sponsorships, and this is the newest thing, and it's just like, come on, really. I just get sick and tired of all the advertisements and all the, look at us, we're the best Bitcoin uh you know advisement firm. We will teach you how to, like, da, 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 da. We'll sell you the river and the whole nine yards. And it's like, come on, like, let's keep this let's keep this real. I mean, this is a thing where people can actually hodl. They can actually get their own keys. They can actually manage their own stuff. They can do this, but they have to be talked to like real people, though, too. And we're definitely not an AI you know, thing here, look, here, I'm a real person. But, you want to make sure that uh stay focused and don't get sucked into the other stuff, the other there's ways to do it yourself, and you can do it. You gotta get some traction, get some knowledge, go down the rabbit hole far enough so that you actually can get your own wallet, get your own keys, get it into your own place. And when you know what you're doing, no one's going to ask you for your keys or how much Bitcoin you have. You never want to tell anybody. You never want to tell anybody how much Bitcoin you have. You never want to tell anybody, like, just any information that is unnecessary. It's absolutely no reason. So yeah, I'm done on that rant. I just wanted to say, for sure, you know, the momentum is building though. We have got to realize, like, the moment that we're standing on that ridge, we're looking out, the moment is right here, right now. This is the moment in Bitcoin. And I'm going to share with you right now, before we go, I'm going to share with you this screen right here, and it's going to be this one. Okay. So what I want you to see here is this adoption curve. Okay. And I want you to look over here. So this is where we are right now. Okay. We're right about here. So we are in Bitcoin in 2025. We have very little adoption. We have about 3% of the total addressable market. No, total, that's not it. So we're at 3% adoption. So we are at the same place where the internet was in 1990. Okay, you guys remember? Any baby boomers out there remember where you were in 1990? Okay. So I can tell you where I was. I was actually in 1990, I was working as a temp at Apple Computer. Yeah, I worked in the engineering support software library. I checked out disks to software engineers, and they would check them to debug their Apple software. And I was just a wee sprite of a Mac user back then. But so we're back here in it right here at 3% adoption. And online banking was this in 1996, social media in 2005. This is where the adoption is, okay? But if you look at how much time it's going to take us to get up here, let's say, I don't know, I think these are 10-year curves. Or I mean, sorry, 10-year blocks right here. I can't prove that, but I will say that I'm gonna make that guess. So if we're right here and we're standing on this ridge line looking at this and going, yeah, this is serious business. We want to make sure we get this right. This is not something we want to mess around with. Make sure you're in the market. Make sure you have a position. You got to get off zero. You got to get off zero. Okay. And that's where you want to be. You want to have a position. You want to work on getting those basics taken care of. And I'm so thankful that we have some people in here with some wisdom, some knowledge, and actually we have some actual people here who actually have Lightning wallets that work. Because guess what? Guess whose Lightning wallet doesn't work? It's me. My Lightning wallet's not working right now. And you know what? I am working to try to figure that out. And it's just hilarious. I think it's just absolutely just, yeah. So that's the thing. When you have kids and when you have a life, sometimes you can't get everything done. And so, yeah, I probably need to call up one of the people at Bitcoin Citadel and say, hey, like, can we get through this? Because I need help. So there you go. So anyway, Buck 52,000 says, my school got its first computer when I was 10. I died of typhoid on the Oregon Trail. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Yeah, yeah, it's, I can't imagine where some of y'all were when I was, when yeah, we talk about 1990 and, uh, 1980. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. So I really want to thank everybody for coming today, for being here, supporting Bitcoin Generations. Um, we exist to try to bring good knowledge, good content for baby boomers and new Bitcoiners who are kind of like getting not really getting any traction, kind of like wondering like what's going on here? How do we do this? Can I do this? Should I do this? Yeah, encourage you to just like get in, sit down, you know, take your foot off the gas, sit down with a good book, just try to um, definitely Jason's saying smash the like button. Yeah, smash the like button. If this channel grows, that'd be great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. It's not gonna ruin my day. We're just gonna keep doing this because it's the right thing to do. We want to bring value, and y'all are bringing value. Thank you so much for coming by today and being part of Bitcoin Generations. We want to give a big shout out to 88 Sats Radio. You guys need to go over there and subscribe. Share this share this video if you can with maybe a baby boomer, somebody who's new to Bitcoin. When you're ready, dive in with Jor on 88 Sats Radio. You guys will benefit 100%. I guarantee you. So anyway, y'all have a great day. It's been great being with you. I would have my dog here, but he's all dirty. He needs to get a bath, and he's black lab, and he's something else. But don't have a dog today. So, all right. You guys take care. Have a great rest of your day, and stay humble, and you know the rest. All right. We'll see you later.